Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Tougies Take podcast. We are back, two of the guys, two of the fellas, as I am joined by Mr. Sin for the win to talk about another lovely week in the world of hockey. Sin, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I got, nicotine gum in my lip right now because this time I'm actually going to quit vaping.
As someone who, number one, I'm rooting for you.
Thank you.
But as someone whose parents have smoked like all my life and have gotten close to quitting and tried quitting,
yeah,
I'm just gonna say I wish you luck because
it's brutal.
Criminy is it difficult.
Like, I don't know. It pissed me off that I even started again because I had quit vaping like
a year ago.
No.
Before.
No, I knew you, but it was like when I first moved to Sacramento, I was fucking still vaping off it. Fucking one of those huge mod things I had back when I was like serious about it, buying my juice online and fucking, yeah. Anyway, and now they just have disposable shit, which is great for my green mentality. Anyway,
fuck my lungs, but I do still care about the planet.
Yeah. The fuck with I completely quit vaping for like multiple years, and then because I'd used vaping to quit smoking. The second time, first time I used dip, which fucking hell, I don't know why me and my friends for a while are all dipping. It's disgusting. Like holy
shit. The old water bottle,
Yeah, like my bottom gums are still a little bit receded from that shit. Yeah. Fuck, I forgot what I was. Yeah, so I quit, and then I picked it up again because this chick I was kind of flinging with vaped, and then I just, for some reason, like, what is this, disposable thing? I hit it, and then I just did it when I hung out with her, and then eventually, you buy your own, you're like, God damn it. Yeah. And then every time I go to Finland, I have nicotine gum, and I do that there, and then the second I get home, I'm just like, it's like you fall back into that rhythm, So I'm like, all right. I gotta quit while I'm here. Because I can't like go back somewhere and fall back into that rhythm, because clearly that hasn't worked 3 different fucking times where I'm just gnawing on nicotine gum there. And then I come home and yeah.
I, again, mentioning that my parents were smokers and everything, like that is one of those things where you are either going to be like your parents or the complete opposite. There's a lot of things like that. And that's the big one for me, where it's like I have never had any interest in smoking, vaping. Nothing.
Good for you. I thought I didn't, and then like in high school, like I just decided I hung out with a shitty group of people for like part of my high school. Like during my parents going through their divorce at like 15, 16, I was just started smoking weed every day, and then those people also smoked cigarettes, so I smoked cigarettes, and and then just smoked till I was like early 20s, I think. Had a fucking asthma attack. I'm like, okay, let's not do this anymore.
Let's not.
Yeah, and then even more motivation to never smoke again is, my mom and how she died with a lung disease from that, smoking and teaching in fucking asbestos-filled classrooms for decades.
What a start to this podcast.
Fantastic. Yeah. It's gone all over the place. It's all right. It's been over 5 years now since she passed. Isn't that wild, dude?
That is.
Like, that's a long time. And we've known each other throughout the entirety of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, we had, we've talked about the kind of story of our friendship of like, oh, this guy does stuff. That we're both kind of in the same medium of doing franchise mode, stuff like that. We've told the story about the collab that I completely tanked.
You fucker. Oh, I totally thought you trolled me too. I thought it was like, oh shit, he's another one of those guys. He's going to be friends with like Tactics and X-Tech and Nasher, and then he's not going to want anything to do with me. And I thought he was like, let's do this. We started off, and then you're just gone for hours. And apparently, you're just min-maxing, trading for every first rounder you can get to then trade for players. this? And I'm
Correct.
like, wow, you do this way differently than I do. I'm just like, oh, that didn't work. Let me throw in some other bullshit.
I took the challenge a bit too seriously. I still owe you that collab one of these days, and I think we have a good idea for said collab. Hopefully coming up sometime soon. But yeah, no, I mean, that's crazy, right? Because we talked about that, and we've had episodes where people have been like, hey, so like your friendships, how'd they start, and so and so, and we just kind of talked about like the especially too the night of just like hanging out in a Discord call.
That was when I felt like our friendship really became. I don't even know if that was the same night or a different night or some fucking shit, but like, yeah, I consider the failed collab of how we met. And then that night of staying up for me till fucking 4 a.m. And for you, it's like the actual morning, 7 a.m. And just we're looking at squatting Slavs and tracksuits memes. Just hours on it.
Shit. Yeah, God, now that you
I wonder
mention
if that's
it, right?
even still in the Discord.
I don't know. You'd have to scroll back pretty far.
I don't even know. Were we on Discord at that time?
I feel like maybe. What else would it have been on?
Skype? Was it that long ago?
Oh God, it might have been. Now that you mention it.
Yeah, dude, our first Discord conversation starts in 2020.
Oh my God.
I think it was fucking Skype.
Nothing really puts it into perspective to say, was it on Discord? No, it was on Skype. There's just something about that it hits really hard. But yeah, God, now that you mention it, right? Just the amount of time that it's been and a lot of the different changes and experiences in that time. And yeah, no, it's been a wild couple of years. And it's funny, right? Because you mentioned the idea of kind of like collabing and everything and, like the kind of foundation of our friendship. And we talked about this coincidentally the last time Endo couldn't make it for a podcast, or no, he was here and then had the connection issues, but it was our final show of 2023, and we spent a lot of time talking about kind of our hockey fandom at that point in how things had changed, right? Because the end of 2023 and really the start of 2024 for the show has been a little bit weird, right? Like we've gone from our 2 episodes a week down to 1, which is part schedule based and part for the fact that we were at 2 a week primarily because of our Manscaped sponsorship, I would say. And again, we told the story about how they ghosted us. So that's had an interesting effect on this show. And it's like, okay, what are we going to do with this show? And then in general, it's a hockey podcast when, we've had some interesting moments over the last few years. And, you talk about like the evolution of our friendship and things that have happened. It's like, there's also the evolution of like our hockey fandom in that time and how things have changed for us as fans of the NHL, how we consume games now and pay attention to the league. Like that has changed drastically since you and Endo joined me on the show.
Yeah.
And it kind of leads to the point where, I had that moment of, oh yeah, God, like how do I feel about the NHL, right? And you and I talked about it, and I kind of had that realization that because so much of the shit throwing from Twitter and Reddit and that mentality and how that has taken over the NHL with the pride jersey thing and so much more, talking about how hockey became less of a form of escapism for me because of that and how that's affected things. It's just interesting to look at how much things have changed and the future of this show and kind of talking about our friendship in regards to, you joked about something that we've joked about recently, which is the idea of like, what's the future of the hockey podcast? I don't know, but damn it, we might start our own separate podcast at this point.
Yeah. I mean, we got the name. It's
we
the most
do.
Important part taken care of.
I need to make the account. I'm afraid to say it. I'm afraid to even mention it.
No, don't fucking say it. They're gonna steal it, little fucks.
I know.
I can't believe it's not taken. So
I know. So what we're saying is this: if the time were to come where we're just like, how we consume hockey our fandoms, if it's changed to the point where it's not really conducive to having a hockey podcast because we just don't have the type of, dare I say, hot takes. I feel like that's the foundation, right, of sports talk.
Yeah, it kind of is
hot takes. And I think we're at the point now where it's like, for me, we'll talk about some things today, certainly, but the NHL, I just don't have the energy in a lot of ways for like the regular season. Oh my God, is the sky falling type of thing? It's because you end up with conversations, right? Like one of the big things was, what are the Lightning going to do with Steven Stamkos? And then their GM came out in the past couple days, I think even today, and said, yeah, we're not trading him. And in the past, I would have been like, oh my God, I can't believe they're not trading him. Or here's why they definitely shouldn't. And if you disagree, you should be kicked by a horse. Like, I don't necessarily have the energy for every topic like that. Like I feel like we used to. And it's just because it's like, it's the NHL. It's the regular season. Playoffs. I don't know. Maybe the Bruins of last season losing in the first round killed off that type of passion, unless it's a specific subject. I don't know. But.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I've had some. I don't know. Like I feel like for me, I don't feel. I'll just say what's on my mind, and if it's a hot take, it's a hot take. Right. But yeah, I don't think. I'm definitely not a guy who has a lot of hot takes.
Adam Fox.
Because usually I'm just like, I don't know, like it's speculation. Like when like that's another thing that brings me back to my beef with fucking sports journalism. It's just so much speculation now too.
Right.
Like just like, oh my God, this might happen, and then it gets built up in this huge frenzy, and then everyone's let down no matter what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
so. About that, then, not to cut you off, but I have been streaming because we've been doing the Sports Gamer playoffs, NHL esports, and that's really kind of taken over the time that we would have had to do more of the stuff on Parsec on stream. And because of that, I started up on NCAA Football 14 on stream. I've had a blast with that. Now, NCAA football is being talked about a lot from a video game perspective because they had the national title game on the 7th. And sources say they're going to unveil the release date or something like that. And then nothing happened. And now today, there's more reports of, here's the release date this July. And a lot of people are just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. But again, it's just that idea of, yeah, but what if it isn't? Then you're going to be like, this is bullshit. You lie. You always just try to be first. And then the very next report that comes out, it's going to be, oh my God, can you believe it? Like, it's just, it is that culture of like, okay, I got to be first. And if I'm wrong, well, to hell with the consequences, because then I'll just be first again and say, well, the source has changed. And
yeah,
that translates to so many different things, whether it's a video game release or, like you said, kind of news stories within the NHL about what's going on. There was the thing with the Sharks of Kevin LeBank's on waivers. No, he isn't.
Like was never on waivers. Oh my God. Yeah. A form of media that did a great job representing this shift from news and journalism being one thing to what it is now is actually Anchorman 2, which kind of seems crazy that a comedy, but they fucking illustrated it perfectly, where it was like, what if we just like made our show for ratings, 24-hour news for fucking ratings? It's like, we can't do that. What do you mean? There's this whole montage of like all the various ridiculous things that like, watching a car chase. Like, what are you talking about? We're not going to watch a car chase. That's not news. It's like, no, just let me talk about the car chase. And then, a panel of 4 people in those 4 fucking corners just yelling at each other.
Oh my
and
God.
Like, and again, yeah. So in that sort of way, the same that TV news, went from facts to ratings. Mm-hmm. The same way as sports journalism has just really turned to sensationalism, where I think it started out innocent and pure. I really do. I think there's probably a golden age of sports journalism, and then unfortunately, you have the And there still are a few who are really great, and I'll always shout out Katie Strang and Rick Westhead,
Yes,
who just go for the fucking truth. Who cares what feathers they may rustle? Who cares if someone's going to deny them access? Good journalism is about getting through those things, and you know. So yeah, it sucks, but it is. I guess that's what happens when you make money from ratings, or you turn to clicks to make money, and you need that, and so you just go for the easy way.
I'm glad you mentioned those two in particular, right? Because they are the ones that you kind of look at to be like the top of the list of like genuine reporting. And it's so tough now because like Rick Westhead will still put out stories. He mentioned over the last 2 weeks, Chicago's still involved in a lawsuit with the John Doe in regards to the what's now known as the Kyle Beach story.
And they're still being scumbags, FYI, for all the people saying they've changed on Twitter, you fucking idiots.
And the thing about that is that was a story for like 3 hours. And then the bullshit takes over again of just the stuff that doesn't necessarily matter, And I just don't know if it's because people, again, prefer to not have to talk about the real topics because, hey, this is a form of escapism. I'd rather talk about the William Nylander contract for 40 minutes like we did on our last show. I'm not sure what it is, right? But it is that idea of like, hey, here's these real things going on, these real issues beyond the game, and so much of it doesn't necessarily get attention. And that, again, that's the idea of how the world is, and you use the NHL for escapism. Hey, here's all these real issues on the news. Yeah, but did you see this wild fucking car chase? We got helicopters following this fucking dude. And on stream at one point a couple years ago, it just kind of became a natural thing for me where someone was like, hey, there's this fucking car chase going on. And I'm like, cool, I'll watch it on stream. I'll commentate the damn thing. This is fun. And then eventually I'm just like, some of these have ended with like the person killing themselves or getting shot by police. And I'm like, I don't feel good about that. So I'm not going to do this anymore.
Yeah.
The smarter thing might have been to just stay the Twitch streamer who's like, oh, Chase, let's go. We're going live. Let's do this. We're following along. Let's see what happens. Place your bets. Does it end in an arrest? How does it end? Twitch prediction. Like,
yeah, sucks having a conscience.
It really does.
Empathy. Like I sometimes I really wish I didn't have it. Obviously not too seriously because I think it's a beautiful, beautiful part of life and being a human. But yeah, it hurts a lot too.
Just a couple soy boy liberal cucks talking about hockey. Oh God. Well, now I don't know how to feel. It's a dissection.
You know what? It's
of ourselves.
End it with a great, brilliant quote from Trevor Noah when he said about CNN at the White House press dinner, I think in like 2022. You turned on the breaking news banner for the OJ chase and you never turned it off. And that's the thing. Everything has to be breaking and sensational so that when those big stories come out from the Rick Westheads and stuff, it's like shocking. But like, you're like, okay, well, what's the next? Right. And nothing has that same weight. And also because there's so much shitty stuff and so much is, on the news purposefully to be shitty. Hey, here's shitty stuff because it activates, the certain parts of the brain that keeps people coming back, even though they don't like it. It's like, anyway, I'm getting way into the weeds on that, but yeah.
Well, again, though, like that was kind of the point, right? Is how much of that has transferred over to hockey, right? Like I do think the Kyle Beach story was the big turning point in our fandoms and just how things have changed, and it's taken a little bit. It wasn't an overnight like.
No, because the fallout from it's still happening. That's what people don't understand. Like, wow, this is already settled. It's like, no, it's not. Like I don't think you fully grasp just how big of an impact that has.
Well, with that, thank you very much for joining us for another edition of your favorite hockey podcast.
Yeah.
Oh
Truly,
man,
truly is a hockey fraudcast, you know.
it is. It is living up to the title. Honestly, we should just change the title and just be like, "Yeah, your favorite hockey fraudcast," and then just never talk about hockey again. We'll just talk about what's going on in our lives under the guise of like, "Don't worry, we'll talk about hockey." Oh, we ran out of time. We'll see you next week.
We'll be the George R. Martins of podcasting. Don't worry, the hockey is coming. The hockey is coming. It's gonna be great.
You kid, but honestly, I think that's the future. I think it is. Oh my god. All right. Well, we do have a couple of hockey things we allegedly wanted to talk about. I don't know. You want to get to those? You want to get to some viewer questions, or is there anything else on your brain? What's happening?
Let's get to some viewer questions. There's a lot on my brain, but let's get to some viewer questions.
All right. Well, we will kick things off here with a common thread in terms of these questions. One Scroopy Noopers. What is the name? This is a hell of a question. What is your favorite name of a deceased relative? My paternal great-great-grandmother was named Dicey Williams. Just from the name, someone you wouldn't mess with. So, I don't have a good answer for this.
He must have a long family history in the States, man. Dicey Williams. That feels very Dixieland to me. I don't know why. Like southern, not deep south, but like east south. You know what I mean? Like
I was gonna say like
Virginia, Carolinas.
Yeah, in my head though too, I'm thinking like so. A spoiler alert about Scroopy. I'm not gonna dox you. But I know you live out west and are a Ducks fan because I sold a Ducks jersey on eBay and mentioned on stream that I sold it. And Scroopy messaged me like, so my wife bought this jersey for me for my birthday. Is this your Cam Fowler jersey? And I'm like, yes, yes, it is. Thank you for your purchase.
What a kick-ass wife, by the way.
Right? God, it pained me to part with that jersey, but I had to downsize at the time. But it's just one of those things. I hear the name Dicey Williams. I think Old West. I think Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah,
like Dicey Williams is robbing a bank alongside John Marston. You know, like that's what I envision.
Come on, Dicey.
My history like this, I struggle with it. I don't know. For whatever reason, like our family history has been a little bit difficult to kind of track down. So there isn't somebody that immediately comes to mind for me like this because we have, my mom's done her best through like the MyHeritage websites and stuff like that. But yeah, for me, it's been very difficult to kind of track that down is the best way to put it. So I don't have a great answer for this. I wish I did because that type of stuff really does intrigue me about that aspect of family history and everything. But at the moment, it's been too difficult to track down.
Yeah, mine's pretty tough. Like my mom's side, her mother was adopted. So no
luck, right?
Yeah, no clue. But that's everyone. Whenever I tell people that in the fucking Nordics, like, oh yeah, her real parents must have been fucking Swedish or something. Like, you look way too much like that. Because I do looks wise, I take on from my mom's side a hell of a lot more. And then so like, and then then my mom's father was a child of Polish immigrants. So I'm sure down the line there's some crazy fucking Polish names, but like, and yeah, like his last name was like their fucking name was changed at Ellis Island. Right. It wasn't Voigt. That's not a Polish name at all. But they were like, it's your fucking name now, bitch. Like we can't pronounce whatever the hell it was. My mom told me it like once, and I could not remember for the life of me. But yeah, it's tough. And on my dad's side, it's like, they're all Norman, fucking Scottish, British, Irish, like and Norman, because there's some French in there thanks to the 100 Years' War. They're just basic ass names,
right?
Williams and fucking Vincent's.
Yeah, it's been a tough thing too. Like, it's my dad that did one of the 23andMe's or something like that, and it's one of those where it's like, oh, it confirms what we knew, like Italian, like the Bari region, like we knew that, but then there was also like a good amount of Irish, and he's like, I don't know where the fuck that came from. Who the hell was Irish? And then we trace it back to, well, of course there was a name change, because how many Irish immigrants came over and had to change their name? Otherwise, the persecution you'd face just for having, your name be McWilliams, God forbid. Which is why so many people are Williams now, as you can relate to. So
yeah, I think the coolest part from my dad's side is like the family name that got passed down. That is my dad's middle name, which is Ladd, Ladd. I'm like, that's cool. And I'm sure there's a dope ass name that sounded sick, something Ladd. Like, but I just, it's, I don't know, man. Like, my family didn't talk much. I'm gonna be real. We do better now.
Well, no, the Swedes love to talk.
No, the
Finnish
Swedes
would
will
make
talk.
sense.
The Finns. Yeah. No, but yeah, no, my grandmother. Yeah, she loved to talk too. So, but she was brought up by Irish, and so she would swear to the moon and back that she was fucking Irish, but she's adopted. So, so her maiden name is actually pretty sick, Evelyn Reardon. Like that's pretty cool name.
God, I want to know, right? I've been intrigued. I'm like, okay, what the hell was my... Even if it was like, okay, my great-great-grandfather, like, oh, are you Jeremiah? You a ditch digger in Rhode Island? Like, I want to know. Like, it's one of those things I've thought about where it's just like, not to get overly existential about it, but it's like, okay, it's not necessarily surprising the people who were alive in the 1800s. It's like, okay, at this point, the names and the memories of it start to fade a bit, right?
Yeah.
Whereas, granted for us, we have a digital footprint to go off of. Our generation and older, a lot of our shit's documented online just to be there forever and ever for someone to eventually fucking find it. It'll be a hell of a lot easier for like great-great-grandchildren to be like, oh, here was this fucking idiot talking about hockey online while I'm in the freaking 15th Pagan Wars or whatever the fuck's going on in 2300 or whatever. So,
oh man,
thank you for listening to this hockey podcast. This is what happens.
Question though.
If it's Endo and I, we just joke around about random shit, and then you and I get into like the, oh yeah, no, it's just
existentialism.
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, almost, if you had to pick one athlete, if you had to pick the life of one athlete ever, who would you choose? That comes from Young Burrito. If you had to pick the life of one athlete ever, who would you choose? I'll let you go first on this.
I have two that are pretty fucked up.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say it. I will.
No?
I'll sit. No. It's it's borderline at best. I'm gonna go with Aaron Rodgers. I want to have all the talent in the world and be a fucking idiot. I just want to know what that feels like. Because I don't have much talent, but I'm pretty smart.
Curse, isn't it?
It is.
Oh, shit.
Oh.
I would choose to be Pat McAfee, someone who has a lot of talent but chooses to
be a dirtbag.
Prioritize spotlighting someone trying out for InfoWars instead of continuing to be the guy that continues to shake up the status quo of those type of shows. You just fall into the pattern of everybody else. Way to go,
still
Pat.
Be friends, man. That'll be great.
Yeah. So for me, the real answer is I don't have an answer because I think the life of being an athlete would fucking suck. Like, for as much as, like, okay, trolls on the internet can be like, oh, you fucking no life, you just sit on the internet. Like, I have a pretty sweet goddamn life. is my answer. Like, I have this teeny tiny bit of notoriety on the internet. Like, ever so, like, it's the smallest blip imaginable. And I like it that way. There's this super small corner of the internet and of the world who is aware of me and what I am doing. And aside from that, I don't need any more. Like, okay, sure. Would more money be nice? Sure. Would knowing that when I die, there will be articles upon articles and videos talking about my career, my life, my legacy, whatever. That'd be kind of cool. Yeah. But to get there is the absurd amount of wear and tear that you put on your body. I put enough of that just by walking to the fridge. Like, I don't need the wear and tear of a professional athlete to wear, like, the hell that you put yourself through to get to that level that you deal with for the rest of your life. Like, we've talked about that in terms of athletes being like, yeah, it's difficult to play with my kids. Like, fuck that.
Yeah.
Fuck that. Like, to me, it's just...
You know, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just got a great idea. Please continue before I say it.
No, go ahead. It's fine.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, when you put it that way, like, I want to be fucking Babe Ruth. Sit there, fucking eat, smoke cigars, drink, and hit dingers off a dude throwing 60. With that terrible fucking swing. You kidding me? Just fucking... And he fucking waddles around the bases. I heard the year in, like, when he went back to Boston, and he was just so fucking fat and still trying to play center field.
God bless him.
And, like, couldn't catch routine flies. Oh man! And then, like, had one, like, really good game.
A legacy continued by Manny Ramirez 80 years later.
Oh my god!
Not being able to play the outfield. Yeah, it's kind of like not as dodging of the question as that is, and I will actually answer the question in a minute. It's just that idea of, like, okay, the wear and tear that you put on your body. I hate the idea of not being able to go to, like, the fucking grocery store without, like, yes, there's that trade-off of, hey, I know you, I respect and love what you do. But then there's also, it's like, man, I just want to go to the grocery store with my wife and just be present and not have to worry about making or ruining someone's day simply by, you know, having to interact or sign something, take a picture. Like, not that that would be a huge deal, but you get the point, right? It's just, for me, the idea of the physical wear and tear, the trade-offs that come with fame, has never been appealing to me at all. It's
I used
just
to think
like
it was, but hell
the
no.
money to me wouldn't make it worth it. Like, it's just, like I said, I love the fact that, you know, right now I'm honestly getting to do really well thanks to the community that has taken to me and continues to support me. It's that idea of most of my days are wake up, do something, podcast, sports gamer related. Then I get to hang out with my wife until she goes to bed for work the next day. And then I get to be a fool on the internet playing video games and rinse and repeat. And it's sweet. like to me, it's like, you know, like, okay, we can pay our bills. It's cool. Like, we don't have a fucking mansion. I don't need a goddamn mansion. You know what that's like to clean? That was always my mom's attitude. So I grew up in a coastal town of less than 10,000 people. But it was more of, there was money, but it was more working class and money. The next town over was the big money. And we'd always drive through and look at the big fucking houses. And my mom would always say, God, can you imagine what it would be like to have to clean one of those? It's like, Mom, I think they have enough money to hire a cleaning person. She's like, yeah, but still, like, imagine they were sick for the day and you had to do it yourself. How long would it take? And so it's like, okay, the idea of a big house has never appealed. The idea of, well, if I had a Lambo in my garage, my every day would be that much better. It's like, no, not really. not really. Like, I don't need to worry about, did my garage get broken into today? There's just so much that comes along with that stuff that just does not appeal to me whatsoever. And it's a part of the like, it's funny being an introvert. Like, you know, you've seen it for the most part. Like, we both are. Like, you know, we turn up the personality a bit. Like, there's an on mode, but a lot of, you know, my time is not in on mode. It's,
Oh, yeah.
you know, I'm just kind of chilling and a little bit more quiet and reserved, depending on the, you know, what we're doing at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, unless we're playing floorball and I fake fight you. Did you have another answer aside from Aaron Rodgers, though, or is that the one that you're going with?
I mean, I'm kind of with you on the whole. Like, being an athlete is like pretty fucked. Like, it's there's so much risk involved. The money's cool, but like, I'm of the impression I've always kind of been like, you know, because especially when during, you know, hilariously the height of the pandemic, when I was making probably more money than I ever, legit more money than I ever made in my life, for a good 6 month period, 6 to 12 month period, where I was raking in a lot per month.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that it changed fucking nothing.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't feel any different, and I had to still work on all this shit. I'm like, wait a second, isn't this supposed to help? Like, so like that's when I learned, like, if I have enough money, my basic needs are met, I can do things that I like, and I could, you know, do some traveling and experience things. Then anything after that, it all becomes relative. And it's like, okay, well, what the fuck do you need? I found myself just giving away so much fucking money at times. Like, I was dropping weird donations in yours after certain days.
Thank you.
I was donating to like just fucking charities all the time. I was donating to bail funds during, you know, the Black Lives Matter stuff. And I was just like, because especially with what I was doing, it's like, I'm not contributing anything to society. I'm literally watching numbers and lines go up and down.
Empathy's a bitch.
Things. Yeah, like, I probably could have saved a lot more. I dropped 20 grand flat on my private student loan. And then my financial manager's like, yeah, you probably shouldn't have done that. I'm like, yeah, but it had like almost 10%. Like, it was like 10% interest on that bitch. Probably more. Fucking Sally Mae. Go fuck yourself.
I think for me, if I were to be an athlete, it's like, I wouldn't want to be like Tom Brady or Michael Jordan or anything like that. Like,
no, if you've seen The Last Dance, you absolutely do not want to be Michael Jordan.
Right. Like, I would have the hockey player's mentality of, just being able to have that anonymity, right? Like, how many, like, if you're, I'm trying to think of a good comparison here. If you're a member of the Lakers, good luck going to fucking Publix.
Yeah.
And not being noticed.
It's the worst for a basketball player. So fucking tall. Yeah. Stand out everywhere.
If you're Jordan Spence of the LA Kings, you got a pretty good life. You're playing for the LA Kings, and no disrespect to Jordan Spence. I like Jordan Spence a lot, actually.
I don't know the name, so there you go.
But, right, it's one of those things where it's like, if you're Jordan Spence, like, you get all the perks of being a professional athlete while still getting to avoid so many of the negatives. That would be...
So I'm assuming he's a bench player, and they still make in the millions in basketball. Like, I'm pretty sure bench players like would make $1 million per year.
Dude, bench players in basketball make like Connor McDavid money.
That's so nuts, man.
Right.
That's incredible. I would too. Yeah. God, I would love to be a 13th or whatever the hell, 12th. I forget. So, it's been a while since I've done a 2K franchise.
There you go. I would definitely go for that approach as opposed to, it being like, yep, just make me Tom Brady. It's like, it's too many negative trade-offs to me.
Yeah.
There you go. As we take another question incredibly seriously.
Hey, I'm sure that's what they're after.
From AJ.
That even made me think. Just thinking, you mentioned a name of basketball player. Like, could I even name fucking the starting 5 for the Lakers at this point? I don't think I could.
Let's try, Sin. Let's try.
Or at least, you know what? I like just name people who are play a lot on that team. Is Kuzma still there?
I have to check their roster. Give me a second. I am loading into the Lakers website. Rosters and coaches.
And Eyebrows, is he still there?
Anthony Davis is still there.
And LeBron is still there. Right?
Is Kyle Kuzma. Kyle Kuzma is not still there.
Ah.
Okay, so you got Anthony Davis.
LeBron.
One.
Then I said LeBron, motherfucker.
LeBron. Two.
Yeah. Didn't they bring in that one dude, Chris Paul?
They did at one point. He's not there anymore.
Fuck. And Rondo's not there anymore. I know that.
Rondo retired like 2017.
I don't see.
Actually, no. In fairness, I lied. Rondo actually played as recently as 2022. Yeah, but
see, I don't know.
Yeah, I'd be intrigued. Like, how much anonymity does Colin Castleton have as a member of the Lakers?
Probably so much.
You know, I wonder.
I'm sure only the fanatics would be like, hell yeah.
From AJ, who is each of y'all's? AJ, when did you start saying y'all's? You're from British Columbia. Stop it. Who is each of y'all's favorite? Why the hell is he still in the NHL player?
Oh, it has to be a favorite. Okay. Like we like them, or just like one person that we like to be like.
I think it would just be the person where we're just like, huh, you're still there, huh?
Yeah, that's. I'm trying to think of one that's like maybe a little bit out there, because obviously there's a few that are fucking obvious.
Philip Zadina.
Hey, he's had great flashes.
So technically, I can say Corey Perry. Like, he's not on a team anymore. Gary Bettman has said he can play, but also he was never officially suspended, and we still don't know what the fuck happened because reporting.
And we will never know because a bunch of legal papers have been signed, probably. Yeah. NDAs and
Yeah. You know,
perfect. In a just world, we would, but you know,
we're not asking for details.
This is Gary's world.
Who do I want to throw under the bus?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like,
man, I don't know. I feel like it's a really tough.
It is
question to answer because, like we've seen before, how players can do kind of poorly and then like, oh shit, new team, new circumstances, whatever. They turn it around a bit. God. Even
this
like Ilias.
Why is this so hard?
Even like Ilya Samsonov, I don't want to be like, how are you still there? But
goalies are voodoo. I'm never gonna call a goalie out or hype him up too much. Like exactly. That's not ever happening. Look what Martin Jones is doing. There's no God.
Dude, right? Do you know his updated stat line? We talked about it the last show.
I don't even remember what it was. I think it was in the 930s, and I said like high 920s, maybe.
It is down to a 924.
Still stupid.
The same, granted, less games, half the games as the other guy, but the same save percentage as Connor Hellebuck. Martin Jones. Cooked Martin Jones, allegedly. Craziness.
Yeah.
I don't really have a pick because being the liberal cuck snowflake white boy that I am, I'm just happy for people that are getting to be happy and live their dream. Even if they're the worst player at living their dream, they're still living their dream. Right?
Yeah, and there's so much like cycling in and out too of like, it's hard to be like, how is this person still in the NHL? The obvious one, I guess, would be Vlasic. But then you can answer that, well, he has a large contract and he's on a shit team. Like, that's how. Like, I don't know. Like, I can always look at things logically.
I'm looking at the league scoring list. He's played one game this season. Jujar Kara? And that's only because I think everybody that has watched him play is concerned for his health, because that's a guy who suffered numerous concussions. So that might be my answer. Is just, how are you still there? Because you would think that common sense with health would dictate, but maybe he's just gotten incredibly lucky, and in which case, cool, he's still getting to play, which is sweet.
Sure.
I don't know. Oh, I know the answer. He's absolutely cooked Alexander Ovechkin, who has lost his powers, his mythical scoring powers, to his greatest rival in Sidney Crosby. Who, the updated stat for Ovi, by the way, Sin, I don't know if you've seen it. He is leading the Caps in scoring with 27 points, 8 goals in 39 games.
That's fucking absurd.
Sidney Crosby.
He's not even. He's on pace for not 20, and that's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
We said all he had to do is average like 30 for a couple more years, and he might not even hit 20.
Mm-hmm.
He's got, but he doesn't have to get going. That's the thing. We're going to keep saying that, and maybe this is what the thing we all feared, was that there was no gradual fall off, and he just, ugh.
I'm telling you, Sidney Crosby has overtaken his powers. Because Sid, this season, is now tied for 6th in goals with 26, tied with David Pastrnak and Zach Hyman.
Yeah, he is carrying my fantasy roster at times.
Also, Zach Hyman has as many goals as David Pastrnak. Shout out to
what?
Hyman.
Good for him, and also that just goes to show you how differently players blossom and hit their prime in the game of hockey. We've all been conditioned now to expect prime to now start 24 because the game's been getting younger, instead of like the old 26 to 34. It is now like 24, 32 as like the magical prime. But for some people, look at Hyman. I'd say he hit his prime at 28, and it might not be as long as others, but it's going to be a good fucking prime.
I almost equate him to Kovalchuk and Clarkson. I feel like McDavid and company, the Kovalchuk, and then Hyman's the guy where it's like, man, you can make a hell of a career. Like, not that it's your only positive trait on the ice, but you can make a hell of a career being the cleanup guy. We saw in Detroit with the likes of Johan Franzen.
The Moose.
Kreider is still doing it for New York. Joe Pavelski is still, even at his age, almost 40 years old, one of the best net front players in the league to this day. He's one of the best at it all time.
Yes, he is.
Shout out to fucking Zach Hyman. It's crazy, though, because a little bit off topic, but I'm looking at the top goal scorers right now in the league. There's some surprising names that are up there, over 20 goals already. By the way, there's 22 players as of the time that we're recording this, the afternoon of January 16th. 22 players that have 20 goals on the season. Now, you have Austin Matthews at the top of 33. There's no surprise. Second place for the Florida Panthers, Sam Reinhart with 32 goals.
Upcoming free agent, by the way.
Uh-huh. I'm happy for Sam Reinhart, man. He dealt with some brutal Sabres teams.
I'm sure he's going to Toronto.
They'll find a way, right?
They'll find a way.
Find a way. You have Kucherov, Panarin, Besser. I mentioned Pastrnak, Hyman, Crosby, Pettersson, and McKinnon are the top 10.
I'm hyped for Besser, man.
What a turnaround, right?
Oh, yeah. Goes to show you how much mental game hockey is.
Mm-hmm.
And
that was the big thing, right? Is
fuck all you people who called him washed and shit like that. Like, come on, dude. He lost his father.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. At number 11, Carter Verhaeghe, Mikko Rantanen, Valeri Nichushkin, who is back in the player assistance program, and there's still weirdness about that because what happened in that hotel room in Seattle, and now he's back in the player assistance program. We won't get proper reporting, so who the fuck knows. But also in that top 20, Travis Konechny, Noted all-star Frankie Vetrano and LA Kings legend. He can go to a grocery store just fine and not be noticed too much. Trevor Moore, another former Leaf. Can you believe it? Oh, the Leafs. We have fun with them every show. But yeah, I don't know. Tough question from AJ. Well, Sen, we're 50 minutes into this show and have barely talked about hockey, which is just the way that we like it. And hopefully are avoiding any kind of technical issues here, which brings us to our next question from Bouncy. What's something that you like to make that makes you feel like a Michelin star chef? I don't have an answer to this because I don't think that highly of myself.
I mean, neither do I, but I feel like a Michelin star is pushing it. But I have a couple different things that I can cook real fucking well. I have, unfortunately, I can't eat them anymore, but I can cook really good steaks. Sometimes I just keep it simple, extra virgin olive oil in the pan, and I do pan fry them. I don't have to use a grill and shit. Like, pan frying is really fucking good for steaks. And then like salt and pepper to season. That's a simple way. Or I'll do a dry rub on the steak, and you start with like some seasoned salt, garlic powder. And what you do, you have to poke, at least what I do with a fork, poke a bunch of holes in the meat, both sides. You start seasoning it with the seasoning salt, garlic powder. Sometimes I'll even put a little sweetness in there, a little brown sugar. And you gotta have some spice, some pepper. Sometimes if you're feeling crazy, instead of the garlic powder, you can put garlic cloves in there. I was never a huge fan of that. It comes off a little too strong. So I'd do that. And then, grill it, or sometimes, usually with the dry rub, you got to grill it. So I'd grill it, and then for side dishes, sometimes I'll make a nice salad with it. But the main thing that goes with it is this asparagus I make. That's, again, pretty fucking simple. You get your baking sheet, tin foil on it, put the wash and snap the asparagus, of course. Put it all on the on there. Drizzles the olive oil on it, and then salt and pepper, and you bake it at 350 for like 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how crispy you want it. And it fucking it's simple, but it tastes so good.
Just making notes. There you go. Chef's in. Be another new segment on the show. God. Our final question again. I don't have a great answer to that. I don't. I'm a basic bitch. My wife is the cook and the baker of the family. Like, it's like, hey, we're doing pasta tonight. I'm like, okay, I can make some sweet garlic bread.
I can boil the water.
Yeah, I sure can. Let me just a little bit of salt in that bitch.
You got to salt the pasta while it boils. Put some olive oil in there too, so the noodles don't stick.
This guy knows.
Apparently, I like olive oil.
Apparently,
it's legit the main oil I use and everything. Vegetable oil is not good for you.
There you go. From BK, will we see some sort of online franchise mode in the EA NHL series again? I would like to think yes. Plans, of course, can always change.
Yeah.
But they know how much it has been talked about and discussed and how desired it is. And you can rest assured we're pushing for it directly. I have made the devs very well aware of the potential that a connected franchise would have, even if it's just the ability for friends to play games with me in franchise, which is what we have done through the Parsec stuff with the 2K10 run and stuff like that. Obviously, Sin uploaded on his channel the NHL Legacy tournament that we did, the international tournament.
Kind of skipped a few days. It's not all up yet. I got to get back on that. I've been busy. But yes, that's a great series.
It's just one of those things where we've talked about that so many times, just the potential that is there. And hopefully, we see that change sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and you guys might get a little taste of what something like that could be as well. Just saying. Just a little teaser.
Just
and a little hope for the future if it goes well. So fuckers better watch it.
There you go. Coming soon to a channel near you. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for the questions. With that, we do have a couple of things to talk about. Nothing too crazy. We'll bounce between topics because honestly, I feel like a lot of the narratives over the last week have been, narratives that we've talked about and seen play out as the season's gone on. For example, the Winnipeg Jets are still red hot. They are still the best team in the NHL right now by points percentage. We had kind of talked about them a bit just in regards to how shocking it is. And as this run continues, it's still shocking. You talk about the changes that roster has had, the thought that, okay, they're going full deconstruction. Blake Wheeler's gone. Scheifele's probably next. Hellebuck's probably gone. But no, they kept Scheifele. They kept Hellebuck. They made those slight alterations, and now here they are with arguably the best tandem in the league between Hellebuck and Laurent Brossoit.
And guess what? Kyle Connor just came back from injury.
He sure did.
And I put him right back in my fantasy lineup. No way I was going to drop him.
Austin Bruins legend, Kyle Connor.
Oh, yeah. Good for Winnipeg. They've gone through it. They've gone through it.
I will never not root for the success of the Winnipeg Jets. And I feel like if you're a hockey fan, you have to root for the success of the Winnipeg Jets. You simply have to. The idea of the smaller market succeeding, you need to root for it. It's the same thing to me, the idea of people being like, oh, the Coyotes, you got to root for that. Granted, they're not a smaller market, but these untraditional markets, the smaller markets, you need to root for the success of those teams because that's what's going to lead to growth for the league.
Yeah.
And growth for the league means if you root for a big team,
you get a higher salary cap. Toronto, shut the fuck up.
There you go. 100%. That's what it is.
It's mostly Montreal and Toronto fans who, for some reason, hate the Coyotes. It's so fucking weird.
Yeah.
You have enough to worry about over there.
Mm-hmm. Completely agree with you. So, you have the Jets doing Jet things. You have the Oilers still doing Oilers things. They are looking very good. They're over. They're at a .603 points percentage right now after an abysmal start to their season. They have won 10 games in a row. Connor McDavid has done more Connor McDavid things, surpassing 900 career points already. In 606 games, he has 907 points.
I think we already talked about how quickly Gretzky hit it, so we don't have to go through that absurdity again. He hit it in 100 games.
Right.
Oh, Jesus.
What is crazy, though, is that Connor is now 4th all-time in scoring for the Edmonton Oilers. That is fucking nuts. But it shows the separation in the eras for the Oilers.
Yeah.
Their top 10 in scoring. Wayne Gretzky, 1,669 points. Yari Curry, 1,043. Messier, 1,034. And then you have Connor at 907. So he'll pass Messier by the end of next season.
Yep.
Which is fucking hilarious.
Oh, yeah. He had to play in the dead puck era.
Yeah. Number 5 was Glenn Anderson from the 80s. Number 8's Paul Coffey. But then 9 and 10 are guys from the 90s, early 2000s. Ryan Smith and Doug Weight. So it just kind of shows that, okay, you had the 80s, the in-between, and now the modern era, where also, by the way, you have Draisaitl and Nuge at 6 and 7. So literally anybody in between the Gretzky Messier era and now the current McDavid Draisaitl era is 9th at best.
Yeah.
Those were some fucking rough years for the Oilers. And that featured a team that made a Stanley Cup final.
Mm-hmm.
Just crazy how that's worked out.
By almost reverse sweeping the Sharks. They won 4 straight after losing 2. We were practicing.
Always comes back to the Sharks.
I'm just saying, I remember that year so well because they had fucking Rolison in net. And we played Toskala. And
Leafs legend.
I will never. I remember so many names from that roster because it was such a heartbreaking series, and they were such a fucking crazy dickhole team. Jason Smith, Rafi Torres, Ryan Smith, Alex Hemsky. I'm pretty sure was there still.
I won't have you name the full team.
That's fine.
What's interesting, though, is I talked about the Sharks last night, and this isn't quite hockey related, but I talked about the Sharks last night because the NFL playoffs were on, which, by the way, I think a big part of like the midseason lull for me in interest is that in the NHL is that like the NFL playoffs were very, very entertaining. Like obviously the Patriots are long gone at this stage, but it's kind of nice as a neutral to just be able to watch and root for stories.
I wish the Eagles had a really easy way to put fraud in their name, but they don't.
Well, so that's the thing. I was going to bring up the Eagles.
Philafraudia. Doesn't work, man.
It doesn't, but
sucks.
God. So last night the Eagles lost to the Bucks, which is crazy. The Eagles run a massive slide midway to end of the season, and it continued in the playoffs. Last night, though, in the crowd in Tampa, they showed Eagles fans with paper bags over their heads. And my response on Twitter was like, they won a championship within the last decade. It's been, 7 years since they beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl? You look so fucking stupid for doing the bag on your head thing when your teams won a title less than a decade ago.
Yeah.
Like, no other fan base is going to have sympathy for you, nor should you be seeking it. Like, you won. Like, you can be upset at the fact that, and it's true for the Eagles, they are a team that's like, oh shit, did our window just close? Like, apparently Jason Kelsey is going to retire, a future Hall of Fame center. That's a huge loss for the team or whatever else might happen. Like, you can view it as like, oh shit, we missed out on the window. But the bag over the head, you
don't do that at a playoff game. Like that's not
exactly.
The bag of the head. You do that when you haven't won a fucking game all season. Guess what? When the Raiders won one game all season, I think they're still in Oakland. Yeah, they were still in Oakland at the time. The black hole is still going wild. You're fucking soft, Philly.
You had that idea of like, oh God, we're the perennial losers in a way, but also not really. Like, you went from like Randall Cunningham to Donovan McNabb. You made a Super Bowl with Donovan McNabb and Terrell Owens.
And he puked in the huddle. I'm bringing that conspiracy back. Believe Terrell.
Oh my God.
Believe T.O.
I forgot all about that. It's incredible. It's just one of those things for the Eagles where it's like 2012, they finished 4th in their division. 2020, they finished 4th in their division. 2007 and 5, like they've had very few lean years. Like that's just crazy to me. Like the bag on the head to be like, I'm embarrassed to be here, but I'm an Eagles fan. Like the bag on the head needs to be like the Leafs before Austin Matthews. The bag on the head needs to be the Cleveland Browns. Now, even though they made the playoffs and for the past 20 years. Like that was just crazy to me, right? It's like you're not even a Sharks fan. The hockey equivalent's the Sharks, which is where that came from for me, was just like the idea of, again, the Eagles won. Like, you have great teams that don't. The Sharks are my go-to example for that, unfortunately, where you talk about like these great teams where they're towards the top of the list. I'm like, how the fuck did they never win?
Yeah.
They got close. So for the Eagles, for a team that actually did win, the idea of like, I'm embarrassed to be an Eagles fan now.
Yeah. If we were
insane.
Drew Doughty, we would have been given a Stanley Cup. because we could have won it, but unfortunately, it was at Pittsburgh there. But if it was any other fucking team, we probably would have won.
Yeah, that was just crazy to me. The idea of the whole bag on the head, but the NFL playoffs in general. Like I know you've kind of talked about NFL for you. Football following. It's like kind of pay attention type of thing.
Yeah.
But as someone who grew up as a Packers fan, that would be a damn good time for you to follow because, God, the playoffs were so good this past weekend. You had the Packers as the 7th seed, the lowest seed in the NFL playoffs, going to Dallas and embarrassing the Cowboys in their home stadium.
I watched parts. Yeah, I watched parts of that, and I went back and watched the highlights, and that is amazing.
Like the Packers have gone from Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers to maybe Jordan Love in that conversation, which is nuts. Although let's hope Jordan Love's not as big of a piece of shit as the former two.
I'm still. I mean, maybe I'm spoiled, but I'm still waiting. He's good. He's freaking good. But like, I'm still waiting for like the greatness franchise QB to come out, and
Correct.
maybe I'm just that spoiled because I think he has been pretty solid.
Correct.
But keep.
Correct.
Yes, so I'm spoiled. Okay, fine. But yeah, I want to see more of him. But yeah, I think I got out of it for a while the second Aaron Rodgers started going crazy, and I'm like, fucking hell, like. And then I just there's things like that just make me lose interest. Like, this guy's a piece of shit. I really, really liked him for a long time. I was one of his biggest advocates. I was fully on the hype train of saying he was a better quarterback than Tom Brady, just didn't have the same pedigree.
Wrong.
No, he was way more talented. Anyway, that was a good one though. But yeah,
shit.
It just was completely off-putting when the dude just went off the fucking rails.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of those like, hey, we want to root for you, and like, oh, cool, that's what you're okay. Yeah, playoffs are sick, dude. Detroit has made it to the second round. They hosted their first home playoff game in 30 years. They're going to be hosting the Bucks. So Detroit has a really good chance of making sorry to jinx it, but they have a really good chance of making the NFC Championship game, which would be so fucking cool. Meanwhile, the Packers play the Niners, which is going to be a bloodbath one way or another. That's going to be such a good game.
Yeah, exactly. It always is. It was tough being a Packers fan growing up. They lost to the Niners once in a playoff game, and I came back to school the next day, elementary school, in like full Packers gear because I was pride representing. I got bullied all day, like chased around by a mob of fucking Niners fans, jeering me and like pushing me and shit.
I'm sorry.
The janitor pulled me aside. It's like, you got a lot of guts bringing that. He's like,
I'm sorry to laugh at your trauma, but it is very funny.
It's not. I brought it on myself. Like, what the fuck was I doing? Like, they lost. Like, I shouldn't. But I clearly wanted to start some shit.
Yeah. It's funny too because with the Bucks knocking out Philadelphia, they have Baker Mayfield at quarterback, and it ties in to the Browns because obviously he was the quarterback of the Browns. The Browns let him go to bring in Deshaun Watson, very problematic figure.
Mm-hmm.
So the Browns end up facing Deshaun Watson's former team in Houston. Mm-hmm. And Houston beats Cleveland down with rookie quarterback CJ Stroud. So the Browns not only lost to the team that they took the quarterback from, but then their other quarterback, their old quarterback, went on to win in the same playoff round that Cleveland is now out of. Incredible. And talk about Cleveland, Jesus Christ, they went from like, hey, lovable underdogs to
the script writers really did it. God, I saw a fucking unhinged Eagles fan take about rigging games. This is just the way they wanted it. Sure, buddy. Sure, they want Philadelphia and the Cowboys, America's team, out. Come on, man.
Yeah. That's the way. It's funny because like AFC wise, it's going to be Kansas City and Buffalo now, and Houston plays Baltimore. So
did Stephen A. Smith make a Cowboys video yet? God damn it!
I'm sure he did. I forgot to look. I'm sure it's amazing.
How about them Cowboys?
I did see a video of Skip Bayless throwing stuff in the trash though.
Again. Doesn't he do that every fucking year?
It's Groundhog Day for Cowboys fans. Up there goes Skip throwing shit in the trash again. Fucking amazing.
That guy is deceptively old, by the way.
Yeah, he's been around for a real long time. He is 72 years old now. Old Skip Bayless. But he was a writer in Dallas forever, basically. You're talking late 70s. He started late 70s, early 80s that he's been in that Dallas market, which is nuts. Anyway, I was going to say about Kansas City, too, the final thing about the NFL playoffs is just that idea of, in terms of script writers, God forbid the Chiefs beat the Bills. Bills fans, they rigged it for the Chiefs so that Taylor Swift could still be on TV all the time. The NFL's trash.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
God. We have fun. We do. We have fun. So yeah, hey, fall football playoffs, because it's a lot more exciting than...
Yeah, it couldn't be the fact that they have a fucking generational QB and tight end.
Yeah, no, it couldn't be at all. It is a lot more fun than what's going on in the NHL right now. Like, we've mentioned some of the other things, and we'll still get to them. But, like, the biggest conversation about the NHL right now is in regards to All-Star Weekend, which once upon a time I was considering going until I saw the prices of shit, which is insane, by the way. Yes, it'd be nice to see people, but I'd rather go in June when it's warm and everything's not expensive as fuck. Granted, it's Toronto, it's always expensive as fuck. But we talked about the All-Star rosters and just what a joke they are. Like, I just don't necessarily have the energy.
Let me pull them up
at this stage.
No, that's fine. If you don't have the energy, that's cool.
Well, I do, though. You can bring up the All-Star rosters. It's fine. So the biggest thing about this, right, is I get the idea for some people, it's like, oh, well, I don't have my guy to root for, right? Like, they have the setup where it's every team has at least a player on it. I think it's a dumb way to go about it because it's an all-star game. I would prefer it to be the best of the best, which right now it currently isn't. I had a whole video out on YouTube kind of talking about this. You have guys that are, there's an argument for like Frank Vetrano, guys like that. Boone Jenner making it for Columbus is fucking insane. No disrespect to Boone Jenner, but
he has 18 points.
Like, he's not even the best player to throw out there for Columbus. If you're gonna, like, to me, that screams Columbus being like, well, we can't risk one of our guys getting hurt. They need the time off, so send Boone. Like, it's not an all-star game. And then they had the fan vote. And look, the fan vote is fine.
Why the fuck is just jerking there?
Yeah. It's one of those lists.
901?
Yeah.
What?
It's one of those lists.
I gotta have to start calling him overrated.
It's one of those lists where the more you look at it, the more it's like, okay, that guy made it over that guy. Ugh. And then there was the fan vote, which, again, I'm not going to say it's a bad thing to get people involved on social media to be like, hey, the All-Star Game's happening. Fan vote, fan vote. But it's obviously going to be pretty one-sided. And it was 3 Leafs, 4 Canucks added to the All-Star Game, which I don't even necessarily think is a bad thing. But then out of necessity for positions, you also got Alexander Georgiev for Colorado voted in, who's a sub-900 save percentage going to the All-Star Game. When you have someone like Connor Ingram on the Coyotes, who, dare I say, Vezina candidate this season, look at his numbers, he's not going. You have a situation where Cale Makar and Leon Draisaitl had to be voted in instead of just going.
Bro, Ottinger is a 901 too.
Mm-hmm.
What is happening?
The defense I see of this,
Jenner, at least.
Yeah, I mean, the defense I see of this is like, oh, it's for the kids and everything too. I remember being a child. The appeal, and again, it's not for everybody. I get there's some people it's like, I want to see my best player from my team, whatever. But you're not even getting that, depending on what team you root for. And it's the All-Star Game. it's supposed to be this prestigious thing where the best of the best half-ass it because they don't want to get hurt, but where the best of the best play one another. Like this very well could be my old man young at Cloud moment, but I grew up with my earliest memories of the All-Star game being Owen Nolan pointing and scoring. It was the best of the best doing great things on the ice in a little bit more of a casual setting. The shooting competition, Ray Bork going 4 for 4, stuff like that. That's not what the All-Star game is anymore.
No.
It's not like the term All-Star, like that's the issue of it. It's not an All-Star game. It's NHL's entertainment weekend.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. So I can fully acknowledge, hey, it's not for me anymore. I probably spend too much time complaining about it, so I can't really sit here and say I don't care.
It's one really good call made, though.
I just don't understand the idea of it not being an all-star game anymore. What was wrong with the idea of it being the best of the best, being on the ice and being celebrated?
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
And then you have the jerseys, which is a further attachment of the guess this isn't for me anymore type of thing. Because, what was it? Justin Bieber's apparel company, Drew House, was a part of designing these jerseys. I'm cool with the idea of more colorful jerseys. If somebody likes these, that's cool. One of the defenses I saw from people was the idea of, oh, they're for the kids and kids will love them. Not the biggest sample size in the world, but I had, and Sin, you might have seen this, like I asked people to, hey, ask your kids what they think. Whether it was my side of the family, with nieces and nephews I have, my wife's side of the family, friends of both of us, and for people who had kids, like, what do your kids think? I had a family member who's like, I polled the students that basically I have a cousin who works at like an after school thing, a community center. I polled the kids at the center. It was unanimous. They didn't like them. A friend of my wife and I's, my 5-year-old said, they're okay, I guess. For the most part, like, I get the idea. Like I said, it's different strokes for people, right? Some people are going to be like, these are sick. But I feel like a lot of people are just like, I'm going to defend these. I think they're shit. They're so bad, they're good. I'm going to defend these. I just think that they are objectively fucking hideous.
They are.
Especially too.
They took the the red one. I don't even know what division that's. I don't.
Oh, we don't know because they don't have divisions in. They're doing the fantasy draft again with 4 different captains.
Okay, no one cares. But they took the worst Vegas uniform and basically turned it into an all-star jersey.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, like, it's why is modern design is just like monotone. Everything. Modern houses are fucking square. Modern furniture is like so bland. These jerseys are just one color, and it's, I don't know, why is it? Bring back cool shit. What is this minimalist bullshit? It's fake anyway. It's $290 for that jersey. It's not minimalist. Don't make it look minimalist.
Yeah, that pricing, by the way, comes from the Florida Panthers team store, where it was leaked not only the pricing, but what the back of the jerseys were going to look like. For those who do not watch the podcast and only listen, Adam Reed, REID
message bubble
_ on Twitter has this picture up, and I will put it up here for everybody that is watching. This is what these jerseys are going to look like on the back. It's not quite Comic Sans, but it's a very cartoonish back of the jersey. And then the name bar is underneath the numbers, which is okay, but in like a black text box and all lowercase. Again, it's one of those things where Some people are going to think these are sick, and that's cool. I got no problem if you like these. I'm not trying to tell you that you're wrong. My take on them, though, is that these are fucking atrocious, and maybe that's the point, is that they're atrocious. I do think that different can be good. I'm not arguing against different and trying different things. I am arguing that they missed the mark in terms of being different and trying different things, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's time to do away with the fan vote. Here's the thing. We caught lightning in a bottle once. It's not going to happen again. The NHL's not going to let it because they try, like, but they're not. They're half-assing it. Like, they're like, oh, it's got to be an all-star game, but boom, generous there. Like, I don't know. Like, fan votes are that shouldn't be who determines who an all-star is, because you have a lot of clueless fucking fans out there who are just homers.
Yeah.
Who think Adam Fox is better than Makar?
The bright spot for the All-Star game is that the PWHL is going to have a 3-on-3 kind of showcase game, essentially acting as their All-Star game on February 1st, and it's great to see the PWHL being involved. Obviously, it's not the first time that the NHL has had women's hockey represented at the All-Star game. Even a couple years ago, pre-pandemic, it was Kendall Coyne-Schofield and the fastest skater, and she fucking dominated. It was sick. PWHL. I've still been paying attention. It's still been a lot of fun. There was the word, though. I forget the official report, but there was the word that the rumored names that we talked about a month or so ago might, in fact, still be the names, which would be a little bit surprising. But maybe that is the direction. Like, it's very clear, obviously, like PWHL Minnesota is a placeholder for now.
Well, yeah.
It's just a matter of where they go from there, essentially, in terms of what do they want to do with the branding. But options aren't a bad thing.
Maybe I give them too much. I don't know. I still feel like they should take that as a marketing. Not what did I call it last time when it was basically there, like it was essentially a focus group like leaking something and then be like, okay, that reaction wasn't good, let's go in a different direction. They should go in a different direction. They shouldn't be married to those names,
right?
But we'll see.
Indeed. Aside from that, again, we could talk about teams that are struggling. Columbus, Elvis Merzlikins has requested a trade. It's been a tire fire of a season for them the whole way through. Minnesota has been really rough to start 2024. The only real bright spot for them is that Marc-Andre Fleury has now moved into sole possession of second all-time in wins in the NHL. The top four, by the way, all from Quebec, which is kind of nuts when you think about it. But we've talked about Marc-Andre Fleury so many times on the show. He is a future Hockey Hall of Famer. Obviously, his longevity at this point, again, you're talking about a guy who was drafted first overall, 21 years ago? 2003? So that is some incredible longevity, and the fact that he went into the league immediately and is still, NHL caliber. He's not the best goalie in the world right now. But hey, a lot of goalies aren't the best, and they're still in the league and trying their best. Yeah. So
might have a better save percentage than an all-star. Who knows?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Hold on. Okay. Marc-Andre Fleury. Oh my God. This is close, actually.
What is it?
Hold on.
It was 898, I think, was the lowest one in the all-stars.
Alexander Georgiev has the same save percentage as Marc-Andre Fleury at an 897.
All-star.
Jesus Christ.
Boy.
The other two things. I
can't wait to talk about one of these things.
Oh, God. Well, we're very late to this story. We'll get to this. This broke. We recorded the previous Monday, so Monday the 8th. So it's been over a week since this happened. Broke after we recorded that show. The Cutter Gauthier trade to the Anaheim Ducks in exchange for Jamie Drysdale and a second-round pick. Now, Gauthier has still not 100% confirmed why he didn't want to play in Philly. We're pretty much not going to know. He's made himself a villain there for life, but it's a good pickup for the Ducks. It's a, unfortunate trade for Philly to have to make. But the big question is, how well have they landed on their feet? And we're not going to know for 5 to 10 years. Bottom line, there's a draft pick involved. There's 2 very young players involved, one of which has an injury history in Jamie Drysdale, and one of which hasn't played an NHL game yet. It's going to be a long time until we know who's won or who has lost this trade. But this trade put, I think, more of an emphasis on what the Flyers are doing right from the culture standpoint. Where there was a lot of word of did Kevin Hayes corrupt the mind, and John Tortorella putting that reporter on blast that did it. For as much as it might have been we didn't want to play for John Tortorella or whatever, it's working. What Philly's doing right now with Tortorella, Danny Briere, Keith Jones at the helm, Philly's getting their identity back a little bit. Instead of being the bag on the head type, Philly is the, fuck you, we're the best type. We'll throw fucking snowballs and batteries at Santa Claus. That's when they do well, is when they have that fuck you, we're Philadelphia, if you don't like us, fuck off attitude. And that's a big part of the reason as to why I think they're in second place in the Metro as of the time of recording here, is because they have that attitude. They play that defense first, physical style of hockey. They're getting good goaltending from Carter Hart. It's been a good season for them. And then you have this instance where the former 5th overall pick is I don't really want to be here. And then the full court media press is, well, fuck you. You don't want to be here? Fuck you. That's essentially what Danny Briere has said, is the idea of, well, fuck you then. Keith Jones, fuck you then. You don't want to be here. We want people who want to be here. And for that reason, you might kind of push the advantage in the trade to Philly just because it's working out for them from a PR standpoint as well.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry. I was looking at. I got kind of went into the weeds on Jamie Drysdale's stats here a little bit. He's only small sample size. Played 2 games, got 2 assists. He's a +1. He's playing all 21 minutes.
He's doing well.
We got to figure out what Cutter Gauthier is going to be, but I agree. Philly's always better when they have that mentality, when they have that edge to them. That's from back to the Broad Street Bullies. It's just now ingrained in the core of what Philly sports teams are.
Unless they lose in the playoffs, in which case they're ashamed, apparently.
Weird. I have a problem with this list, by the way.
Okay, so our final thing here
talk about it
is this list. Now, this was an article from Corey Pronman of The Athletic, ranking the best players and prospects under 23 in the NHL. Not necessarily in the NHL, but involved at the moment. Now, it is behind a paywall, of course, with The Athletic. Very much recommend supporting it there. And
unless they don't cover your team, in which case cancel your subscription like I did.
There you go. He notes at the top of the list here that a player must be 22 years old or younger as of January 1st of this year to qualify. He also mentions that players are placed into tiers and kind of given grades based off of their abilities and stuff like that. So in tier 1, he only has one player, and that is the number 1 player on this list, Connor Bedard, to say that he is by far and away 22 or younger. He is the guy. Second on the list are guys who are a little bit more established, though. Jack Hughes, then you get Tim Stützle, and Adam Fantilli at 4.
The fuck? has he seen Stützle play this year?
I mean, I can buy into the hype of Adam Fantilli. At least he's not above Stützle. The rest of the top 10, by the way, is Leo Carlson, Matvey Michkov, Luke Hughes, Moritz Seider, and then tier 4, Dylan Cousins and Wyatt Johnston.
Where the fuck is Minchikov?
So, again, I don't want to give away the full article, but there's quite a few names that you can think of that aren't included there. Beniers, McTavish, Boldy, Byfield, Jake Sanderson, Logan Cooley, Trevor Zegras, Cole Caulfield even. To answer your question, Pavlo Minchikov, 28th.
That's insane to me. He's mini Seider.
Yeah. Brock Faber, by the way. Wild fans very hyped. He was 30th.
Wyatt Johnston. Maybe I don't know enough about Wyatt Johnston, but I'm gonna have to look that shit up now, so I don't eat my words right here. But no, he's Canadian. Let's see.
Is this another example of somebody just kind of throwing some things out there to, get a bit more attention and controversy on it?
How's Wyatt Johnston listed above Minchikov?
I think you could say, how is Wyatt Johnston up there above most people?
Like
no disrespect to Wyatt Johnston.
No, he has 65 points in 124 career games played. He's just above 0.5 points per game. What? Maybe I need to see his metrics for like defense and stuff, but
you'll always get controversy, I think, with lists like this. But what I'm intrigued at for the top 10, and this was before I looked at the rest of the list. What I'm intrigued at is this. In reverse order, starting at 10, Wyatt Johnston or Dylan Cousins? Who are you taking? Who's king of the hill?
Cousins.
Dylan Cousins or Moritz Seider?
That's fucking tough.
That is a tough one.
I almost spit my gum out my mouth. Because Cousins is a centerman.
Yep.
But Seider's a defenseman. Fuck!
It is a tough one.
God damn it. I think you got to go with Cousins. I think centermen are slightly more important than a defenseman, even though I feel like Seider is like the prototype for the new defenseman at the NHL.
Dylan Cousins or Luke Hughes?
Cousins. Why is Luke Hughes above Seider?
So again, it's an interesting list in that, it's current players, but also prospects. Now, Luke Hughes has played in the NHL all season long and looked very good, but yeah, Moritz Seider has been here, right?
Yeah.
He's more established in the NHL at this stage. So, I mean, I guess it's just saying, I guess the viewpoint would be based off of what we've seen from Moritz Seider and what we've seen from Luke Hughes, that the ceiling for Luke Hughes is higher at this point.
Then why is Wyatt Johnston in there? He's like a more established guy and he's averaging, 0.5 fucking points per game. This doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's an interesting
Sorry,
one.
Corey. I'm sure you did a lot of work on this, but I completely disagree with a lot of these choices. Leo, fuck yeah. Because, dude, he's NHL-ready centerman out of the draft doing what he's doing.
Dylan Cousins.
I would even maybe have Jack Hughes above Bedard as well.
That's what we're going to get to. Dylan Cousins or Matvey Michkov?
Fuck.
Yeah, so I mean, Michkov has looked tremendous in the KHL, at least since being able to go back to Sochi. SKA at the start of the season, it was like, oh God, what the hell are they doing with this guy? Are they going to ruin him on purpose?
Yeah.
But he has been fantastic. But again, we have no idea when he'll be in the NHL, if he'll be in the NHL.
Like, I would take Michkov because my team's situation can wait for a Michkov.
Fair.
I still would have liked him at fucking number 4.
Yeah. By the way, he does have Will Smith inside the top 20. 16th, actually. So
It's weird to
He
me.
likes Will Smith. So there you go. Great list.
I mean, I want Will Smith to work out. I do.
Yeah.
But I would put, yeah, it's a weird list.
Michkov or Cousins?
I said Michkov, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michkov or Leo Carlson?
Leo Carlson.
Leo Carlson or Adam Fantilli?
Leo Carlson.
Leo Carlson or Tim Stützle?
Leo Carlson.
Ooh. Okay. I don't know how many people would agree
of a
with you on
centerman.
that.
I don't care. More of a centerman, and Stützle has taken a massive step back. Granted, the whole team has, but Stützle also has the. I don't want that guy on my team because he's going to be the guy. He's basically like a Bunting Nyes, where like the refs are completely biased against him because he was a diver, even maybe is a diver, and that's going to hurt your team a lot more. And I think Leo is just going to be better. And this isn't even salt. This isn't even salt because I could have had Stützle either. I wanted Leo Carlson so fucking bad in that draft.
Leo Carlson or Jack Hughes?
Jack Hughes.
Yeah.
I'm not that high on Carlson. He's got to show me more.
Jack Hughes or Connor Bedard?
This one sucks.
Like, we know what Jack Hughes is now at this point. Like, he is one of the best players in the league.
It's that ceiling for Bedard, though, man.
It's that ceiling for Bedard.
Yeah, it's still trying to figure out where it is. At that point, I would have to go with Bedard. Just because but
is he the guy that breaks? Is he the guy that breaks the situational aspect of it, right? Because you're talking about Leo Carlson, and right now for the Sharks, Leo Carlson, I mean, would help out so much in terms of the window. Not that Jack Hughes wouldn't, right? But that idea of like, okay, like the younger player in terms of how long can you wait for them to be better? I feel like Connor Bedard's the guy that you take, even if your team's good. If they're shit, it doesn't matter. You take it no matter what.
I took Carlson over Stützle because I'm like, Carlson's a better centerman. He's going to be a better centerman. He has a lot more of those tools, and at a younger fucking age too.
Right.
But with Bedard, he's just at another level above Carlson, obviously, and he's a goal scorer, and hopefully he learns how to play center a lot more. Like learns how to win faceoff. It's tough when you're young. It's tough. But hold on, I wanted to, because I feel like he hasn't actually been too bad, but I could be completely wrong.
Bedard on faceoffs. Last I knew, it wasn't overly pretty.
No, not Bedard.
Oh.
Yeah, even Carlson is actually having trouble. Yeah, dude, I didn't think it was that low. Fuck.
There's a lot of younger centers where it's like, 40 or below.
It's tough. It's fucking tough.
Yeah.
Wow. It's 32% for Leo. It didn't start off that bad. I know that. Oh, hold on. But he's also he's 6'3". I know, and I'm not a big gotta be height guy, but for the center position, a lot of where they're playing for face-offs, it can be tricky because leverage matters a whole lot. Sometimes short centermen are good, like Crosby, but for a lot of the other things about center position, man, Leo, he's gonna be sick.
I will say I do recommend everybody check out the article here because I do think it's interesting, right? Like you have that kind of conversation surrounding prospects that'll always be out there. I think it's interesting that he put 8 different tiers as well, ranking from tier 8, which is a middle of the lineup player, to tier 1, which was Bedard, which is generational, potential.
Yeah.
I do think it's an interesting way that he went about this option, and of course, the best part about it is Cole Caulfield's tier 6 as a top of the lineup player, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's an interesting list that I recommend people check out, but it's always fun to kind of
I'm actually curious where he thinks Eklund's going to end up.
Oh, so for the Sharks, I'll give this away. For the Sharks, he has 6 players on the board. Tier 4, NHL All-Star, Will Smith. Tier 7. Bubble, top, and middle of the lineup player, William Eklund and Shakir Mukhamadullin.
This guy's a fucking idiot. Bubble player.
Yep. Bubble player.
If that was Ohotiuk, yeah. Mukhamadullin, though? Okay.
Yeah, for Eklund, because he ranks each player on skill grades. He gives him high-end skating, average puck skills, above average hockey sense, and an above average compete level.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Also didn't rank him on his shot, which he does rank most forwards on. So, interesting. I'm intrigued by the process that he went through. I'd be really intrigued at talking to him about this, but
that's insane. Bubble player, William Eklund.
And bubble top 6, as in like, all right, he's got a shot.
Oh, I thought you said bubble lineup player.
No.
Bubble top.
Do you rescind your fucking idiot?
Not completely.
Okay.
Not completely. Because I think he's a guaranteed top 6er. There's no fucking chance he isn't.
It says bubble, top, and middle of the lineup player. So bubble, top 6, more likely middle 6, I guess, would be the definition.
I don't know, man. Eklund has superior fucking playmaking vision and really good skating. And I don't know where he thinks he has bad puck handling.
Average puck handling, apparently. By the way, it's funny. The Bruins have one player on this list in the last tier, tier 8, middle of the lineup player,
Poitras?
Matt Poitras.
Hey, when you've been good as long as you have.
The end times are coming, Bruins fans. They'll be right there with the Patriots. Get to watch Bill Belichick.
So how does he rate the defenseman? Mukhamadullin, he has rated as what? Bubble top 4? Like, what does it mean for defensemen?
Yeah, I imagine it would be bubble first pair, more likely second pair for Mukhamadullin.
Oh, fuck it. Yeah. Okay. Then that's fine for Mukhamadullin.
Okay. Who, by the way, he has ranked as average across the board for all of those skill grades, which is interesting, too.
That's very interesting.
There you go. Check it out. There you go, Corey. There's your publicity for 100 people.
I did.
Or whoever listens to the show. Whoever made it to the show after an hour of non-hockey and an hour of hockey. You get everything. It all works out in the end.
The hockey is coming.
The Paul Revere of podcasting. In for the win. Sim, with that, we will wind things down for today. This was a fun one. Do you have anything going on over the next week, aside from some lovely commentary with old Sports Gamer tomorrow afternoon?
Yeah, I need to start. I'll probably start like a Draft Glory or something. I need to get another franchise mode going, and it's been very tough to do that. But I like money. And I like my channel not dead. So
yeah. Not having a dead channel is pretty fun.
Yeah, I'll figure something out, man. I don't know. I really screwed myself pigeonholing. But I have some like great ideas for like other content. Some of it's like I'm working on like actively. I'm not been just fucking around, like, but you know, it's completely a lot of it's not NHL, and so I'm just like, who knows?
It's a tough world.
Yep.
Tough world. With that, I mentioned the NCAA deal that we got going on. I said, Sin and I have some NHL stuff in the works as well, as long as I don't tank that. Let's see if I manage to screw up another collab. Time will tell. But yeah, with that, everybody, we thank you very much for listening and or watching the show. We will be back probably next week, maybe later this week. We shall see. Just kind of depends on what comes up hockey-wise to really discuss. Like we kind of mentioned at the start of the show, it's a weird time for hockey. It's a weird time for us in terms of our hockey fandoms. Yeah, we'll see what happens in the near future. But for now, we thank you once again, and we'll see you next time.